Hello mouses! Today I have a bit of a cold, so if I sound like I've got a frog in my throat, it's because I actually have. Today we're sponsored by the number I, the letter 7, and the spirit of taking the piss. Okay, there's one story that I really want to talk to you about today because it's partly legal and partly news, so we can stick it in on Monday's legal news. Bling. I don't know if we've got a sound effect or what, but I'll just say bling. And the news is that the government wants to basically have the ability to eavesdrop on everyone in the UK. All ISPs and other providers of communications technology will be will be required to send that information to GCHQ, the Government Communications Headquarters. It's basically their military intelligence snooping arm in civilian terms. And I'm really against this. It got announced yesterday, so originally I thought it was a big April Fool's joke, but it turns out that it's not. The joke's on us. This is actually real. But the biggest problem I have with it is, this is exactly what Labour wanted to do before they lost power. They wanted to put together a database of everything that anyone does online, or via telephone, or via text message, or everything else, and use that to snoop for anti-terrorism measures, and also to do crime prevention. But the Conservatives and everyone else said no to it. So it got defeated, and Labour lost power, and then this Conservatives come along with a coalition government between the Conservatives and Liberal Democrats to create a government that does exactly the same thing that they were complaining about when they were in opposition. This is just stupidity. You can't just claim, oh, we want the ability to look at everything. We're going to have to get a warrant to actually open any of these packages that we get sent. But we will be getting packages sent by internet providers and telephone providers and all that. This is just stupidity. So you're going to sit around on hundreds of thousands of millions of pieces of information and not look at them? Yeah, right. I don't believe that for a second. We don't have a right to privacy in Britain at this moment. There is no legislation that gives us a right to privacy, whether it's our data or whatever. We have certain amounts of data protection privacy because we have the Data Protection Act, and the European Convention on Human Rights says that we're supposed to have a respect for the privacy of family life, but not our personal private lives. But I can pretty much guarantee if the government's going to push this, we're going to have a bill that says that we have rights to privacy by the end of the decade, or we're going to have no right to privacy, and that's going to be enshrined in law. One way or the other. By the end of this decade, we're going to know for certain whether the government can look at something or not. And I'm pretty much certain, at this point, the way everyone's going, the government's going to say, no, you don't have a right to privacy, and everyone's going to push for a right to privacy, and it'll be the people who come out on top because they'll go to Europe, and Europe will go, yeah, well, it's just a small extension of what we've already told you that you have to do anyway. So we'll end up with a right to privacy, and then we'll probably pull out of Europe. So the pro-privacy and anti-Europe mob are going to get their way by the end of the decade. I'm pretty much sure of that. I have to say, I am very much for anti-terrorism measures. They're very good. I don't want to get blown up. But I'm very much against people looking into my information when there's no actual reason for them to do it. I'm not going to go blowing up the country. Most other people is the same. Why should we suffer because of those dicks who want to do bad things? I don't think this is necessary. It's definitely not a necessary step. I can pretty much guarantee that the majority of this information is going to be useless, but it will be looked at anyway, despite the fact that there's supposed to be safeguards, because I'll tell you now, people snoop. People look at the information they're not supposed to, and then they cover it up. So this is a bad thing, because it will get misused, it will get leaked, like all of those pieces of information that got leaked from Customs and Revenue, where people's names, addresses, telephone numbers, and other private information, all the information in fact that you need to steal identities, was on a couple of discs that disappeared in the post. That will happen with this information. It will get out there, and then lots of people will get identity theft from the information that is passed around. And I don't want to see that. I don't want another massive farce. But that's what we're going to be ending up with. So let's say no to this bill before it even gets announced in the Queen's speech, and get on with actually fixing the economy and getting the country back on its feet so that we can actually have a country that is worth saving from terrorism. And on that note, I've been Kirk-Robinson, you've been watching the video, and I'll see you tomorrow.